Welcome to the 1% Club. We are glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you haven't noticed, it's a beautiful sunny day here in awesome Northern California. It looks like behind Frank Crandall there, bright blue sky, a few puffy white clouds. It's a beautiful day, man. It's an awesome and beautiful day. Well, today we have a treat for you. But before I get to our treat, for those of you in Northern California, this Thursday, we have Matt Smith coming to town. He sells 600 homes a year from 10 to noon. And as you know, this is our attraction call. Cabo's a big deal. You have time to invite people today, tonight, all day tomorrow, tomorrow night, and show up with some serious guests to hear Matt Smith. By the way, I told a guy from Reading, I said, if you drive down and aren't shocked, aren't blown out of your seat, I'll sell you $500. Do you guys do that? Do you tell people if you come to the event and you're not like blown away and say that was life changing, I'll sell you $300, $500. You won't have to do it because if they come, they're going to get fired up and they're going to go, oh my gosh, I went to Remax events. I fell in love with Remax. Go figure. It's the people. I went to Keller Williams events. I fell in love with Keller Williams and I joined Remax and then I joined Keller Williams. I went to EXP events in San Antonio. Bam, I joined EXP. Do you say, hey, come to this event. If you don't love it, if you didn't think it was like a fork in the road moment for you, if you're not just shocked, I'll sell you $500. Like, I don't want to lose. You're not going to lose 500. If they come, they're going to love it. Now, if you do this to a knuckle sucking, lemon sucking, some kind of a, you know what I mean? That kind of person, yeah, you could lose $500. So don't offer it to that person. But if their needle's pointed north, and they get the right energy, you offer them $1,000 because then they come. Why is Matt? Because it's a springboard to Cabo. The reason it's important for you to have people, and if you're in LA, get on Southwest and fly up here. $39 ticket. Want to get away? Fly in fly up with people. Fly in. Like, oh, I can't go. Yes, you can. You're free to move about the country. Southwest taught you this decades ago. So it's a big deal. In February, we have John Sy coming in from British Columbia, Vancouver. I think it's like the 27th of February. And we got to have I think he sold 149 homes himself, not with his team, himself at $1 million each. He did 149 million in production. Teams don't do that. And he's coming. Fly in, fly down from Portland, fly up from LA, fly in from Las Vegas. Bring people to John Sy. I'll pay for your flight. Don't tell me it's only $39 on Southwest Airlines. Say, I will fly you in my own jet called Southwest Airlines, but called American Delta, Alaskan. I will fly you in, bring them to Sacramento to hear John Sy in February. And then go, oh my God, all these people are EXP. Yeah, it's broker agnostic, but they know. I can't believe all the mojo in that room. Go, you like that? Yeah, that was nothing. Because in 11 days, we're going to be in Cabo with 1,100 superstars. Tom Ferry's flying in. Ed Milet's flying in. No way. Pace Morby, Gary Brecka. Oh my gosh. If they know him, like, you're kidding me. I have people coming because Gary Brecka is going to be there. I have people coming because Pace Morby is going to be there. Of course, people are coming because of Ed Milet and Tom Ferry, but I have people specifically coming because of Gary. And sometimes they don't know who Gary Brecka and Pace Morby is. I said, they will change your life more than Tom Ferry and Ed Milet. They're like, really? I go, you'll never be the same again. Both those guys will change your life. And you're going to come for Tom Ferry and Ed Milet, and you're going to leave and go, they were incredible, but Gary Brecka and Pace Morby changed my life. And offer them $1,000. If you're not shocked, I'll give you $1,000. You got to get people. Really, it's that important. It's that important. But the springboards are Matt Smith this Thursday. You got time, and John Sy end of February. Fly in with your guests. Fly your guests in. Do a day trip. Fly up in the morning, fly out in the afternoon. Day trip, no hotel rooms needed. Uber from the Sacramento airport out to our event. Enough said. I'm going to get to our speaker today, and he's got a unique story, and I love his story. So I'm going to introduce, and I'm going to start asking him questions. We're going to go back and forth. And so let's get this party started. Mr. David Christensen. David, how are you?
I'm doing great, and thank you so much for inviting me today. First and foremost, Brent, you've been a big inspiration to me, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to talk to you and connect. So thank you.
Dude, I'm so glad you're on. By the way, if everyone else could go up to up to your view and go and hit speaker. So you're not watching everybody else on all the little cameras. Hit speaker view so you can really listen to what David has to say as I ask him questions. So, David, tell us where were you born? Just real quick, we're gonna go rapid fire. Where'd you
Yeah.
grow up? Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. My dad was in the Air Force, B-52 pilot. And so the first 13 years of my life, I lived in 13 different states, literally. We were bouncing all over the place. And, but always been a New England boy, as soon as my dad could, retire and kind of get us back to New England, that's where we wound up. So I wound up going to high school in Southern New Hampshire and was born in Massachusetts. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. And did you go off to college? What'd you do around college time?
Well, so that's kind of where the story starts. When I was in high school, I had a dream of being, the next rock star. I wanted to be John Bonham. I wanted to be Tommy Lee. I wanted to be Alex Van Halen. I was a drummer, and
You sound like
much.
an 80s guy.
Oh
The
my God,
80s, baby, the best
what?
rock and
That's
roll
right.
music.
One
Oh,
hundred,
come
one
on.
hundred percent And, much to my parents' chagrin, I told them that, look, I'm going to go make this happen. And so I left high school and I, joined a band in Boston and did the classic thing of, living with five guys, sharing a top ramen. And, we had to decide
You're on a
whether,
wing and a prayer.
yeah, are we going to heat the apartment or are we going to buy drumsticks and guitar strings? And of course, it was always drumsticks and guitar strings. And
Put another
after,
blanket on it.
yeah. And so after about 5 years of doing that, I really realized that I liked the management and the marketing and kind of the promotion of music even more than I did playing. As much as I loved playing, and I still play for fun, I really loved that part of it. And so I literally, me and a buddy, a beat up car and $700, drove cross country from Boston to Los Angeles in 1993. Didn't really know a soul, and looked up an old buddy who was out there, and got that first classic job, $100 a week and lunch money, and I was sweeping floors and calling radio stations and just whatever I could do to
Earn
uh,
a buck.
earn a buck. That's exactly right.
So what happens over the next 4 or 5 years?
Well, I mean, I got really lucky and I worked really hard. I've always, I say this to my kids all the time, come from a spirit of yes. Every single experience I have had in my life, this is the God's honest truth, has come from saying yes, not really knowing what the outcome was going to be or saying yes to something that in the immediate moment wasn't a big payoff, right? And almost every relationship I've had in my life over the last 30 plus years have come from that. And so I took this job. I just hustled. I worked hard. I stayed late. I worked longer. I did all that kind of stuff. And slowly but surely, that internship turned into a job, turned into being an assistant manager, turned into being a junior manager. And then next thing I knew, I was partners with the management company. Then I owned my own management company. And between 93 and 99, we really grew something quite substantial and very blessed. In about 4 year period, we had multiple multi-million dollar artist signings, and we're really, just all the dreams of a young, kid from small town New Hampshire were certainly coming true.
Beautiful. So it's 1999.
Yeah.
What happens next besides the millennial Y2K bug and the world coming to an end? By the way,
Yeah.
the world's always coming to an end. If it was the bird flu, it's the Spanish flu, it's
Yeah.
Y2K, it's COVID. It's always something. But go ahead. What happens next?
Um, So this is, I'm going to take a quick sidestep before I say this. Brent said something in December that really resonated with me. And he said, let's make the invisible visible. He was talking about, kind of stepping out. And I've never shared this part of my story with anybody publicly. I have these obviously a lot of close friends and family and things like that, but never really shared this. But I really felt my two goals for this year were to, one, make the invisible visible, and to just really be of service. So hopefully this part of the story will have some help to others. Between 99 and 2003, every dream that I could ever have dreamed of came true. Covers of magazines, platinum records, private jets, all the stuff that you hope for an artist. And it absolutely shattered me. And somebody who had not drank
Hey, time
uh,
out, David,
all,
real quick. Time out. Somebody needs to mute out there. You're humming, and we can hear you humming. Please mute. Thank you. Go ahead, David.
I thought I had a soundtrack. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. Um, but literally every dream had come true, and it was the first time that felt just completely exposed, like all this emptiness that I had had as a young person, and all these dreams that I had been chasing that I thought were somehow going to be magically be solved by these accolades or financial freedom. It was just crushing to realize that that wasn't the case, and so. Um, I started to drink to really just calm the nerves and to make myself more socially adept and to deal with some of the stressors, because now I felt, and this has been my way my whole life, I feel this way with my clients, my friends. I feel very personally responsible. If somebody is going to entrust me to sell their home or to help them make a record or to whatever it's going to be, I take that very seriously. And the downside of that is you can take that home with you, and I definitely took that home with me. And what started in Los Angeles turned into, a 3 year, 4 year just descent into absolute hell and misery. I mean, it's a
Oh,
classic story. I had everything and ultimately lost everything. And not only lost the physical items and the things that are tactile that we can, you lost the car, you lost the house, you lost the whatever, you lost a reputation that you think you're never going to get back. Um, but I just lost my soul. I just absolutely was wrecked to a point of being, 40 years old and thinking, well, this is it. I'm 40. I was on the mountaintop. There's absolutely no way I'm recovering from this, right? It's like I'm not 19, I'm not 24.
what year is it now? What year is it now?
This is
2000.
probably 2003, 2004, when
So
this
you're
is
hitting
all.
rock bottom. You've been drinking hard for years. You've
Yeah.
you got lost your everything you thought was important to you has now been stripped away and gone. You turn 40, and what happens next?
So I went in AA, they call it a geographical cure. I thought, well, if I leave Los Angeles, all will be right with the world. And so I moved to Florida. And this is going to sound crazy, but a good friend of mine was involved in Titanic and had secured all the salvage rights to Titanic. So his company, RMS Titanic, would go and salvage them and then bring those across the world in the form of museums. And so he said to me, hey, why don't you come to Florida? Why don't you get out of that, you know, pocket of people and reinvent yourself and reinvent your life? And, we'll have you be kind of head of media operations here, help us with the expeditions, and you can dive the ship so you can talk about it and all that stuff. And that obviously sounded like an amazing opportunity. And I did that. And again, on paper, it just sounds so fantastic. I got to dive the Titanic. I was on Good Morning America. I was putting together all these things, and it didn't solve the problem. It didn't fill the hole. And they say that sometimes you have rock bottom, and then there's a trap door. So I had my rock bottom, and then I had my trap door. And I don't mean to make light of it, but I'm comfortable in my own skin now about talking about it. And those series of events really forced me to look at why was it that there was this emptiness there, and why was it that all these accolades or these things and these kind of wins on paper weren't translating into a peace and a happiness. And I imagine, whether anybody on this call has ever struggled with anything like that, I think we all struggle at some level of chasing something or putting something outside of ourselves as that thing that we're going to go after. And it motivates us and it inspires us. And then we get it. And sometimes it doesn't have the ring that we hoped it would have. And so there was a lot of life lessons in that part of the journey for
So
sure.
that was 2003, four to how long did that go on for?
I was in Florida struggling with that situation until probably the late 2000s.
Like
And
2009, 10, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, 2009, 10. And then again, you know, and again, another thing I'll just call myself out on, um, we had this Breaking Bad house get a lot of press this last week, and so we were blessed to have a lot of interest about that. And one of the things
By
that
the
happened,
way, what he's talking about is he got the listing for the house that was in the series Breaking Bad. He listed that property as the listing agent.
yeah, Walter White's house. And the reason I'm going to make this connection is that that inspired, EXP was wonderful, and they sent the writer out to talk to me about how that came together and kind of about, my life and backstory. And I remember having this interview, and you do the narrative that you do. You skip over the part where your life was a complete, dumpster fire. You know what I mean? Like I was in LA and I was doing this, and I went to Florida and I did that, and then all of a sudden I'm selling real estate, and all of a sudden that chapter,
Platinum Records,
uh,
Titanic Media. I'm a
you know,
success in real estate. You skip over the fail, 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 fail. Yeah.
and again, back to what Brent had said in December, I really want to change that narrative about my life, and I want to be comfortable enough to say, there was some real dark times here, and the thing that hopefully maybe some people can take away is that there's the other side of it, and that's really what happened. Is the narrative says I went and did all these fun things, and then I, on my own accord, went to New Hampshire and decided to get into real estate because it looked fun. But the truth of it was I didn't have an option. The truth of it was I had exhausted all situations. I was homeless. I was without a penny. And
So you were homeless in 2009, 10 around
yeah,
there
yeah,
in
in Florida,
Florida.
in
And
Florida.
you're like, well, I need a geographical move. You moved again. You went to New Hampshire and you
Yeah.
started over with nothing. And you
With
had,
absolutely nothing. And again, that just the story of being 40 plus years old, living in your parents' basement, trying to one, stay sober, because that was the most important thing. This wasn't even about a job or a career move or getting a partner, or a girlfriend. This was about, can I stay sober, And
so how'd that go? You get to New Hampshire, you're trying to stay sober, you get in real estate. What happens next?
So here's what happened is it took about a year, and I got sobriety, and it started to stick. The 100 days turned into 6 months, and I'm now celebrating 14 years sober.
Come
So
on, baby. Everyone give him some love in the chat. Raise your
yeah,
hands. Well
yeah.
done.
So, but as it's been said before, that's a village. That was not me. That was God. That was uh, an inner desire in me that was different. That was family. That was friends. And I had the right people reach out at the right time. My brother-in-law Brian Moses, who very well, and one of my best friends, Gina Aslan, a very great top producer, lovely person. They were in New Hampshire and they were just killing it in real estate. And they said, I think this is something that might resonate with you. Why don't you try it? And I did. And it just really, from day one, was a perfect fit. It took all the skill sets of marketing and promotion and trying to understand the dynamics of people. And
So let me get this straight. The first year, day one, you just took off like a Roman candle. You just like shot out of a can. You did really well your first year. Is that right? Yes or no?
oh, yes, I went at it like a beast. So I went at it like crazy. Um,
Okay.
but my first year was probably like anybody's first year. I had, I don't know, maybe 17 sales my first year.
No,
I
that is not like anybody's first year. I did
oh,
not sell 17.
okay.
That's really good. Well, here's my point. He wasn't an overnight success. He was a 21-year
Yeah.
overnight success. He was 40 when he started. Everyone's like, oh, you're an overnight success. No, it's all those promoting platinum records and the signing the artists and then working with the media and what he did and his struggles. It's who you become. So you tell us about the first 4 or 5 years in real estate from 2000 11 to 15, 16. What happened to you? What's your story there?
I absolutely loved it. What I loved most about it is it felt exactly like it did in the music business. When I was listing a house, it was like finding an artist and trying to find out, well, what was special about that artist or that home? How do we tell a story? How do we take that to the public? And then how do we make people want it? Once we've taken that to the public and we've shined it up and do all the things we do as realtors, how do we now negotiate the best deal? And I loved helping people. I just absolutely loved the process. And I loved the cycle of it. In the music business, you could work on a project for 2 years, 3 years, put your heart and soul into it, and four people would buy the record, and there was none of that give and take in real estate. And for most of us, right, there's a 3 month, 6 month cycle, and you've helped a family or either buy or sell, and I just loved it. And hard work and building great relationships. The production ticked up and the relationships ticked up, and I came to EXP 4 years ago. Brian, was the one who brought me in, and he had to work hard for it because I was really loving where I was. I wasn't one of those disgruntled, agents that didn't like where I was. I loved it, and once he did the Gene Frederick napkin trick on me, and we ran the numbers, here I was, and EXP has just been a phenomenal home for me. And
That's
the
awesome. So,
go ahead.
s- go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the first 6 months when people would ask me, you're just kind of blowing smoke, but now 4 years later, and multiple Cabos and multiple EXP cons, and helping bring some people on, it is what it is. The proof is in the pudding with this organization, and it's been wonderful.
That's awesome. So, how many homes do you typically sell a year, or dollar volume, or what's that look like for you, the real
Yeah,
estate side of things?
I'm doing probably between 20 and 30 million a year solo agent.
Very
Uh,
respectable.
yeah, we did I think 65 houses last year or the year before. Last year
Great.
was a tiny bit slower, but it's been great. We've been growing nicely, and this last year have really started because I'll be honest, I didn't focus on attraction. I focused in the sense if people called me, I was there for them, and we grew it to about 86 at the moment. But we've absolutely changed our mindset about this as we've entered the new year. In terms of how we want to approach that, and I just feel committed that this is the right place for people, and
Awesome.
yeah,
So
so
you've grown your rev share organization, you said 86?
86, yeah.
86. So here's the deal, my man. We're going to add a zero. We're going to add the zero this year. Why
Wonderful.
not? Dream a little. Why not 860? Glenn Sanford, our billionaire founder, he said most people just think so small, they look small, and then they aim small, and then if they miss, they fall short of small. Glenn says you just got to add the zero. So, like,
I got
don't
you
come up
beat
with
by
a
140. I got 1,000 on my wall. That's my goal.
there you go. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, if you end the year at 860, awesome. You come up with a plan for that. And let's say you fall short and you only have 400, 300, 500, 86 now, 3, 4, 500 end of the year. I mean, go for the 860 or the 1,000, do it. But Glenn says most people are trying to make 200,000 a year, quarter of a million, 300,000 for, and they come up with a plan for that. And when they fall short, they're just not where they want to be financially. Then says instead of making 200, make 1.2 million. He said that in the vision call. Come up with a business plan for 1.2. And if you don't hit it, and if you hit it, awesome.
Yeah.
But if you don't hit it and you fall short, even halfway there, you're 600,000. Now you blew away the quarter of a million by 100%. We need to do the same things with agent attraction. You got to dream a little and you got to go, okay, if I was going to go from 80 to 800 or from 40 to 400, what would I need to do? Most people say, well, if I just end the year at 100, you're thinking too small. And this year is going to be a great year to grow. So I love the fact that you're doing that. Is there any other comments or points you wanted to make, David, about agent attraction or about your career or your story that I haven't asked you here?
I think just as a final note, I want to say something for me. The moment I stopped focusing on me and what I needed, and I started focusing outside myself and what we could be of service to others, whether it was to my agents or to my clients or to my family. Sorry, I get emotional. It was a game changer. It was an absolute game changer. And we hear that all the time. And we hear that in self-help talks. We hear that from the stage. We hear that, but it is the absolute truth, at least for me, that the second I stepped out of myself, the world changed. And I'm excited about what, we're going to do as a company. I'm excited about what my little part of the world is going to do for the company. I just think that's a key takeaway. If you can just, as you're building your dream, if it's helping others, it's ultimately going to help you. And then just lastly, like, I could not have done this without my family. I have the most amazing family, the most amazing partner, kids. This is not a situation where anybody survives these type of challenges on their own on the island by themselves. And so if anybody's struggling, whether it's work or it's personal situations like this, reach out. There's a lot of people that love you out there, and I'm certainly grateful for all the love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I love it, baby. I was talking to a famous guy. I want to rat him out, but he's a well-known agent. And he said 2 weeks ago he was dealing with depression and anxiety. And what he did to get himself out of that, he started 75 hard. He started exercising in the morning and the evening, morning, evening, hydrating, reading a chapter every day of a great book, and a great book, right? And so I don't know what book you want to read, whether it's the Bible or one of these babies, or maybe my book Momentum. If you haven't read that, shameless plug. But he started doing those things, and he was well, I don't want to say that because I might give it away. But anyways, because he didn't say I could share it publicly, but so I won't say his name, but or her name. How about that? We'll really go generic, but when you get emotion in motion, it creates emotion, and it replaces stress, anxiety, and depression with being hopeful because you create endorphins. And then, of course, I believe ultimately this is where you'll find it right here that Jesus is gone, man. But that's a personal thing for you. And Tina Cole talked on the vision. She said she had 1,400 agents and selling 300 million a year, and she felt empty inside this summer. She's like, what is wrong with me? So she went to Costa Rica, did some soul searching, and figured some things out for her. But yeah, emotional health is an important thing. And when you get going, when you're thinking about what you're not doing, that's depressing. It will create anxiety. It will create depression. It will create stress. And so come up with a plan, get going. And David, we're believing for you to have an awesome year. I think you
Thank
had a
you.
great story to think that you were homeless back in 2004, 5.
2009, 2009.
Oh, 2009, homeless. And today, super successful at real estate. You're going to add that zero. You will have 800. I remember when Stroop and I had 80. I remember when we went to 350. I remember when we went to 800. So the wave is coming, and I'm excited for you. And I want to say to everyone listening, including David, now is the time to paddle. There's a big wave coming. And if you're distracted doing flips, you're distracted doing developments, you're distracted doing solar, mortgage, title, you're distracted doing digital business cards, you're distracted doing whatever it is you're doing, and all of a sudden, because if you got your eye on the ball, when this wave comes, like a surfer, they start like, oh, I'm out of position. They'll shoot over to catch the wave in the right spot, and then as it's starting to rise up, they start paddling, and they're like, okay, well, I'm not paddling. They start paddling harder. All of a sudden, they get themselves just right, and they catch the wave. And this next wave is going to be a 20-year wave. It's going to be a big deal in this world. And so get ready. It's going to be a 20-year run. But here's the deal. If you're doing other goofy things and you're not focused, all of a sudden the wave's going to come and you didn't get in the right spot and you weren't paddling and you missed the wave and it rolls under you. Your surfboard goes up and over and you missed the perfect wave. So my message to everyone today, as we wrap this up, we have 90 seconds, is the wave is coming. Are you going to catch it? And that's why Rob redid my cover, a little more updated, but that's why the name of my book is, or is it this way? There we go. Momentum. Everything's done with momentum. You catch the wave, you're riding that wave, you have momentum. And everyone knows the power of a tidal wave. So get ready, get excited. 2025 is going to be what you make it. It's going to be awesome or it won't be. It's going to be incredible or it won't be. But it is not the Fed's decision. It is not Trump's decision. It isn't the cabinet pick's decision. It is your decision. I talked to a guy today from Windermere Homes, and he said he's reading Fanatical Prospecting, which, do I have that book here? Is it on my little list? Is that it right over here? Yeah, let me see that. So he's literally, Clark and I gave him this book where he's been reading this book. He goes, you know what? He doesn't have time to make a lot of the trainings. He's got a 16-month-old and a 4-year-old and a wife with the state job. And he says, well, you know what? If I attended that stuff or didn't, it's all about this. Am I hitting my numbers? So I challenged him. He's going to call 25 to 50 people a day starting this Monday. Well, if he does that, say he does 25 a day. It's 125 a week. It's about 500 a month. I told him, this guy's Windermere Homes. I go, if you do that, I'll sell you $1,000. I will sell you $1,000 at Windermere Homes because it'll change your life. And so right here. And yes, you should go to the events, but it really gets down to this. If you're on fire, it's because you're doing this. So you got to come up with a plan, you got to execute. Super easy. Come up with the plan, execute. Come up with the plan, execute, and find some running buddies and do it. So that is it for today. I love you guys. We're gonna do mastering sales in about 10 minutes. So if you want to stick around for that, I'm going to share some things personally about sales for 2025, how to do it, where to do it. And we're going to be on fire because guess what? People are moving out of LA, man. And it's not, we're not opportunists. It's just a fact. A lot of people have been displaced. I have friends who've been getting $13,000 a month for a 3,000 square foot tract home in Roseville. 3,000 square foot tract home, 3,000, 13,000 a month. Rents are going to continue to go high. 13,000 will sound like a deal someday. The market's not over. It's just beginning. And we're about to enter a golden era in business. I think it's going to be solid 12-year run, but this wave's going to run for 20. This is your wave. You catch it. David, thanks for being on today. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yep. And we'll see everybody in about 9 minutes for Mastering Sales. If you got to bounce. And we'll see everyone also in Northern California at Matt Smith this Thursday. Bring guests, bring guests, bring guests. You got plenty of time. Start texting people and tell them, if this thing doesn't shock you, if it doesn't blow you away, I'll sell you $300. It's a free event. I'll sell you $500. Really? I go, really? And I want you to go back to Century 21 and kill it. I want you to go back to Remax and kill it. Oh, come on, you want me to come in? Nope, nope. Stay at Remax. I don't care. Just want to help you, man. Is there a law against that? And so that's how you do it. The final thing is tell people, will you make a commitment to stay in curiosity about the model? Don't call it EXP, depersonalize it. It's just the model. I go, listen to me. Here's you at Berkshire Homes. We're going to put that on the shelf. You're not leaving. You're staying at, put it on the bookcase. We're going to turn into a book. You're staying at Sotheby's. You're staying at Compass. But will you at least stay in curiosity about the model and stop talking and look at them and smile? I've never had them say, nope, I will not stay curious about the model. They go, yeah, sure, I'll stay. I go, great. Because David, I'd like to introduce you to a few people at EXP over this year, throughout this year. I'd like to invite you to a few events. And really, I'll be honest with you, my goal is to become your plan B. Because if you don't have a plan B, you'll eventually get abused at plan A. And you're like, well, it's not great, but it's all I know. I'm going to stay. How would you like to have the plan B that you're actually excited about? Put you in a better position to negotiate with your current broker if they ever mistreat you and do you wrong. I want to be your plan B with the big smile on your face. They're law against that. And between now and then, I just want to pour into you. I want to see you list more homes. I want to see you sell more homes. I want to see you take your family on a dream vacation. I want to be your friend. Hey, I'm Brent. And I'm your friend, and I'm going to help you. And so when you start talking to people from the heart, you pray before you talk to them. Ask God to give you the words. I did that at open houses. I did that on listing appointments. I did it on showing appointments. People can tell. Anyways, love you guys. David, great job today. Thank you. Everyone give David a hand. Give him some love in the chat. And we'll see everybody now in 6.5 minutes. If you could stick around, great. If you got to bounce, mastering sales starts in 6.5 minutes. Bye, everybody. Thank you, David.